All right, so 3 years ago on July 4th, I actually posted a Green Mountain Grill pellet grill review video and 5 reasons why I thought that you should buy one of those instead of a Traeger. And I can't believe it, but since then that video has 457,000 views. And it's so random because random people that I know here and there, like in real life, they are like, hey dude, I found a video of your grill review. Like, it's so funny. Anyway, today I wanted to do a follow-up video onto that. Since it's been 3 years, I've gotten the question a lot, even to this day. A lot of people want to know, was it worth it? What do you think now after using it for a while? So I wanted to follow up in this video and let you guys know kind of some pros and cons of the Green Mountain Grill after 3 years. If you actually want to buy a Green Mountain Grill or a Treager, I will link them both in the description. But basically, this is a follow-up video that I wanted to do last year and I never got around to it. And this year I was like, you know what? July 4th is right around the corner. I want to go ahead and try to make this 3-year anniversary video for you guys. So if you guys enjoyed the video and it was insightful for you guys out there looking for a pellet grill, then drop a like on the video. So looking back 3 years ago, there was 5 different reasons that I chose the Green Mountain Grill over the Treager. 1, it was a thicker steel and more durable. 2, the grill temperature was much higher. It actually got up to 550 degrees or 800 if you get the pizza attachment. 3, the Green Mountain had Wi-Fi enabled at that time, and it was actually really helpful to be able to set the temperatures that you'd want on the fly. 4, it had a meat probe that you could actually use with the Wi-Fi. It was integrated so it can tell you what the internal temperature of the meat was without actually having to go out and look. And 5, the biggest reason for me was that Traeger says you have to use their pellets in order to use the grill. Now, some people said that's not true. Other people have confirmed, yes, that is true. So reality, I have no idea if it's true or not. So 3 years have passed since I bought my Daniel Boone Green Mountain Grill, and I think it was roughly $700 or $800 when I bought it with the Wi-Fi functionality. Looking at Green Mountain Grill's website, it looks like they still have the same offerings, the Daniel Boone, the Davy Crockett, which is a smaller one, and the Jim Bowie. That's a $950 wider grill version, but they also have a big pig trailer rig, which is like $6,000. Probably not going to get that one. Anyway, so they don't have too much of a variance. However, Treager, on the other hand, has a bunch of different models and a bunch of different offerings since the last video. So if I was today going to be going out looking to decide, am I going to buy a Green Mountain Grill or a Treager, I think it's a much more difficult conversation because Treager has stepped up its game quite a bit, and they have functionality that they didn't have originally, such as the Wi-Fi functionality and some of the other things. And looking at the current offerings from Treager, I'm just going to Costco. There's a Treager Silverton 620 pellet grill that's $800 versus the Green Mountain Grill that is $700 with Wi-Fi. Both of them have Wi-Fi, so is it worth paying that extra $100 for that Treager versus the Green Mountain Grill? Honestly, you'd have to look really, really closely at all of the metrics side by side. They look like they're pretty comparable. You do get an extra grill on top for the Treager Silverton, and that is an accessory that I bought for my Green Mountain Grill, but it would be nice to have it actually built in. So that's one consideration. There's also a rack in the front of the Treager that looks like it could be beneficial to have, but again, it's $100 more. So if you want to save yourself $100, you can go with the Daniel Boone route versus the Treager Silverton 620. That being said, I actually buy a lot of Treager pellets because they're the most widely available. Anyway, as I mentioned, a lot of people have just been asking, how do you like your Green Mountain? Was it worth buying? The pellet grill that I bought with the Green Mountain Grill, Daniel Boone, has been amazing. It's been so fun to smoke different meats, and if you follow me on Instagram or Twitter, I've been posting like anytime I smoke chicken wings or brisket or, you know, tri-tip or whatever I end up smoking on that grill, I usually post it on social just for fun because it's nice to be able to share with you guys what I'm able to smoke on this thing. And it's really pretty easy to do. I have made some mistakes from time to time when I'm using the grill, and I've had a couple pros and cons for the grill itself. So we'll start off with some of the pros and then we'll get into the cons. The first pro I would say is the cooking space on the grill has actually been really, really nice. It's huge. You can do a lot of meat on that thing. It is ginormous. You can do 11-pound brisket and an additional something or other on the side if you want. Also, I bought an additional rack that I can place on top because when I'm doing wings, sometimes I'm doing a couple things, tri-tip and wings, like at the same time. I'll put a tri-tip and some wings on the bottom and then some wings on the top rack. So it's nice to be able to have that additional rack. And I'll try to link that in the description as well. I believe I got the one for Green Mountain Grill, but you can pretty much do anything with elevated legs. But the sheer volume of the space is actually really nice on this thing. Now, that could be said about any grill, but I found this one particularly nice so far. Another pro is the buzzer going off when the hopper is low. Probably could be a more seamless integration, like a push notification to my phone to let me know when the meats are at temperature, but also when the buzzer is going off and the pellets are low. But regardless, it's a pretty loud, audible sound when the buzzer is going off, And if you need to refill that thing, it's definitely important. It is always smart to check the pellets before you start cooking anyway, but I have had that buzzer save me a couple times where I've forgotten to fill the pellets, and then all of a sudden that buzzer's going off and then I refill it. So it's definitely helpful to have. Another pro is once you know how to turn it on and off, it is extremely easy to do, but it does take a little bit of effort to learn how. Like, you have to make sure you understand to push up and then turn the temperature down and then set the fan when you're turning it off. Like, my wife would just go out there thinking she could just flip the switch, and that's a big no-no. So it's something to keep in mind. Once you learn how to turn it on and turn it off, it definitely is helpful. On the con side of things, though, I wish it was a little clearer in the instructions. So it says ready or not ready or turning off or something like that instead of 0, 1, 2, whatever, and then eventually it hits temperature. That's kind of a minor complaint, but it's something that would make it more dummy proof. Next pro is the Wi-Fi functionality is really nice. I was wondering, is it worth paying the extra money for the Wi-Fi? Will I actually end up using it? And with 2 kids now, it's definitely worth having the Wi-Fi for me. It's easy to set. It's easy to go ahead and turn the temperature down. Another pro is the temperature. You can get that thing flaming hot, like so, 550. It definitely gets really, really hot. It does burn pellets pretty fast, so when you do that, but it's nice to be able to do. So I've also found that the cookbook that they provided is actually really helpful. I've bookmarked the internal temperature page, so I know what the internal temperature for pork, beef, chicken has to be, fish, on the inside of the meat. That way I know that it is at safety regulations, which is super important. But they also have some pretty cool recipes on the back of the book. However, I usually surf the web to find more recipes, just to have like a broader, more updated version. Most importantly though, how is the quality of the meat being smoked? From my experience, it's been really, really good. Flavors can change depending on the pellet you use, obviously. I don't have quite a palate for it, but some of them I notice have more of a smoky flavor. So if you're wanting a smokier one, I would suggest researching which is the best to give you the flavor profiles for the type of meats that you're trying to cook. But overall, the flavor has been really, really good. And also when I smoke chicken breast, at first it might not taste very smoky, but then after you cook it and put it in the fridge, sometimes I'll slice it up and put it on top of a salad, and like you can really taste the smoke the next time. It might not be super powerful at first, but you definitely can notice it the next time around. And then other times the meat will have just a crazy smoky flavor, which is again the whole purpose of having the smoker, is to get that smoke on the meat and to get that smoke ring on the tri-tip or the brisket or whatever else. Definitely really works well and as advertised. If you don't know what you're doing to cook the meats, look up recipes on YouTube. I found it extremely helpful to find the internal temps, the temperatures I'm supposed to be cooking things at. It's pretty much dummy proof, low and slow for a lot of the products that you're cooking, and then eventually you just keep getting better and better at smoking them. But it's really important to follow and maintain the internal temperatures of those meats so you don't overcook it or undercook it. For me, investing in the cover has been another pro. It's definitely nice to have, especially during the winter time. It rains a lot in Oregon, so having that Green Mountain cover is a plus. Of course, you can get other brands as well, but you want something to be able to cover it in the colder months. Also, I've been able to smoke in the rain and it's been totally fine as well. So for those wondering, yes, you can smoke it in colder temperatures or in the rain and it works just fine. Another pro for me, and just a tip for you guys out there, is just if I'm trying to cook something on that grill, I want to try to maximize that space to get the most meat out of the smoke that I'm producing. So usually I'll fill the grill and then I'll freeze some of the meats and then be able to use them in the future. Definitely something worth doing. However, obviously the tri-tip fresh off the smoker is like amazing, or the brisket fresh off is usually pretty amazing, but a lot of stuff can be reused in the future and definitely worth doing so to maximize your space. So not everything is sunshine and rainbows. There's a couple things that I didn't like about the grill, and I'll go ahead and get into those now. One, the Wi-Fi is definitely nice to have, but it is difficult to set up. I couldn't get it working right away originally. Maybe the newer versions of the app is easier for installation and initial setup, but for me it was like really painful, and sometimes it wouldn't connect and it was just kind of a pain to get everything working. So I wish that was a little bit easier, but that's something that I can continue to fix, hopefully with some more software updates. However, I found it a little bit tedious. Also, the Wi-Fi feature only worked for me in the house. There's supposedly a function that you could be able to check it outside when you're out and about, and then you're trying to change the temperature, but from what I found, it was again extremely difficult to set up, so I've never actually made that happen. So I usually have to be there when I'm smoking the meat, or I have to make sure that the temperatures are at the right temperatures when I'm leaving. Otherwise, it's not going to adjust by itself and I can't adjust it on the fly. Leave a comment in the comment section if you find it really easy and I just don't know what I'm doing. Could be very possible, but not overly easy to do. And the new Traeger versions do have that capability for Wi-Fi and then also outside of your house. And if you guys have used it, drop a comment in the comment section. What do you guys think? Is it actually useful? Is it easy to use or not? Another con is the vent setup is actually kind of nice on the bottom. It was a little bit confusing how it layers on, and some of the models actually have different vent setups, but it's nice to be able to have. However, I usually have it wrapped in foil because it catches all the drippings anyway. So it's kind of pointless to have the vents open for a higher temperature if you have it wrapped in foil. So honestly, it doesn't really do any good. It's just an option to have to be able to open the vents, but honestly, I never even use it. So another con is that I actually did end up keeping my Weber grill after all, mostly because the wife actually uses it for chicken and meat, and she wants to cook it quick, especially with 2 kids. She doesn't know how to even use a Green Mountain grill and how to turn it on. I tried to explain it to her once, but that goes to show, I mean, it's not super easy to turn on with the functionality of the buttons and stuff, and you have to push up and wait for it to count 1, 2, 3, or 0, or whatever it is. It's kind of tedious for her, and she knows how to turn on the gas and ignite the gas on the propane grill. So we did not get rid of it, and so we have 2 grills still, which part of the reason why I bought the Green Mountain grill was to replace the other grill. If you're in a situation where you're solo lifing it and you don't have a wife and kids, it's probably easier to do everything on one grill, and honestly it would probably taste better because you get that smoke even on a quick grill. It's probably best this way so she can use it when she needs, and then I can use mine when we want to smoke something. But it is a con and worth noting that I actually kept both grills. And the last con for me is something that probably could be problematic across the board no matter what smoker you have, but I've ran into it a couple times where the firebox like fizzled, I guess, and it was just over smoking everything, and I actually had to clear out the hopper completely and then restart more pellets in. I think maybe I used some pellets that got a little bit wet, and honestly they expanded a little bit, and it was just a big mess. Big mistake. Don't do that. And they didn't get wet from using the Green Mountain grill. They got wet because I stored them improperly, like underneath the grill in a bag, and then it was just a dumb idea. But anyway, so it's not anybody's fault except for mine, but it was freaking me out. Like I was like, it's smoking up everywhere. Everybody's going to think there's a fire in the neighborhood. And all it was really everything needed to be cleaned out top to bottom inside of the grill, and then I was able to feed it through. And in my opinion, everybody's gonna have that problem, even the Traegers. You do have to perform some maintenance on your grills because otherwise things can get clogged up and cause these little smoke fires. So definitely I've had that happen, I think 2 or 3 times the entire time I've had it. Most of the time everything works flawlessly. Sometimes it could be problematic if you don't turn it off properly, and then it can actually overfeed the firebox as well. So you definitely need to make sure you're turning on and shutting down appropriately. So final thoughts, do I regret buying the Green Mountain grill? If I was to go out today and buy one or the other, which would I buy? It's kind of like the grass is greener. I'm sure the Treager one has a lot more support because it's a bigger company, it's the originators, and they're at mainstream locations like Costco, easily sold everywhere. So part of me is like, yeah, that would be a pretty good solid investment as well because you do have that backing of bigger companies like Costco and stuff. Green Mountain is a little bit more independent, but sometimes you do get a premium product from the smaller companies, and so it's one of those things you have to weigh. I think at the end of the day, both of these companies offer a really great product for smoking meats, and I just highly recommend you getting at least one of them. Just getting one if you have the space and the time to be able to smoke. I mean, I always loved barbecued food, so it's great for me to be able to create my own smoked stuff, and I don't regret it one bit. I use that thing probably once a week still now, so definitely worth buying in my opinion. But hopefully you guys like the update. Super random on this channel, especially with this weird background, but I didn't want to go outside and talk because it was really loud. Where I moved to now, my house backs some road noise, so it would have been really distracting. Probably not more distracting than these shoes though. But anyway, thank you guys for stopping by and watching. Hopefully it was somewhat informative to you guys. I do like the product, and I'm happy to give you guys an updated video. Have a good one. Peace, guys.